Mother's heartfelt plea to stop her son's girlfriend from cutting hair revealed an amazing secret. Sarah paced her small living room, fingers trembling as she clutched her phone. The headline of the day screamed at her from the screen. Mother's heartfelt plea. It read, pinching her heart. It wasn't about just hair, it was her world crumbling. Jake, her 17-year-old artist son, was suddenly in a love affair with Mia, a girl known for her wild style and even wilder ideas. And now the shocker. Mia wanted to chop off her long hair into a daring pixie cut days before the Maplewood Music Festival. The thought of judgmental whispers, the disapproving looks from neighbors, and the tarnishing of their already modest reputation, it all made Sarah's chest tighten. Jake, she had called out, urgency threading her tone. When he walked in, his gaze hoping for a simple conversation, he could see the storm brewing in his mother's eyes. You have to talk to Mia. She can't cut her hair. Desperation laced her voice. This is our town, Jake. It's all about appearances. Jake stiffened, caught between loyalty to his girlfriend and his mother's heartfelt plea. Mom, it's just hair. She wants to express herself. His words echoed in the stillness, a rift stretching wider between them. In that moment, Sarah felt a mix of dread and protectiveness flood through her veins. If only they could see through the isolation and judgment this small town imposed. Her love for Jake, to see him reach art school, pushed her deliverance. All of them must play it safe. As the day passed, tension thickened in the air. Sarah worked double shifts, her thoughts clouded with worry. Every clattering plate at the diner echoed her anxieties. In a town as close-knit as Maplewood, a wrong move could lead to lasting scars. But underneath her fierce worry lay a flicker of faith that Jake could soar. Yet, he was ensnared in that youthful rebellion, and Mia's bold pixie cut felt like a threat, a nail in their family's fragile budget of reputation. Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system, and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. The day before the festival, Sarah found herself in the park, the sounds of laughter and music drifting through the air. As if drawn by strings of fate, she noticed Mia, sketchbook perched on her knee, frantically creating costume designs with her new hair lost to changed images of brushes and colors. Mia was lost in her world of art, each design whispering a language of rebellion, of independence, and beauty tinged with emotions Sarah thought she could never understand. Stunned, Sarah approached cautiously. No, not a mere distraction. Mia was a raw talent connected to Jake's dreams. Each stroke of pencil illuminated a passion, a vision she'd never seen before. In that heartbeat of clarity, Sarah felt the weight of her biases. Mia wasn't just a reckless teen, she was an artist with fire. And in that moment, things began to shift, the possibilities of acceptance blooming inside her. Fast-forwarding on the cusp of the festival, Sarah now stood with her heart heavy yet hopeful. Mia's daring choices breathed an authenticity into Jake's life that he'd been searching for. But would Maplewood's judgment allow her son to thrive alongside the wildness? As the celebratory music flowed through the air like a river, Sarah panicked, heart racing. She felt that this could change everything. Could she truly support Jake's love for someone who stood so far from traditional ideals? The question loomed like a storm cloud as the vibrant festival buzzed, leaving them standing at the edge of an unknown future. The festival was alive with color and energy. Booths with handmade crafts lined the park, each stall showcasing the creativity of Maplewood, from pottery to woven baskets. Sarah could feel the tension crackling in the air, as much a part of the festival as the sound of laughter and music. She was caught in a whirlwind of emotions, her heart still tethered to thoughts of Jake, and Emma. As she moved through the crowds, her eyes scanned the sea of familiar faces. Neighbors gathered, sharing gossip amidst the vibrant banners and dancing lights. It felt almost suffocating, like being trapped in a cage where everyone could see her but she was invisible. Her mind raced back to the conversation with Jake. "Mom, let me be who I am," he had exclaimed, the plea for independence echoing in her ears. For the first time she understood his frustration. This wasn't just about a haircut. It was about identity and respect. Maybe she needed to see Mia not just as Jake's wild girlfriend, but as a part of the vibrant tapestry that made up her son's life. Suddenly, a burst of laughter brought her back. She turned to see Jake, his face lit with joy, standing next to Mia. Mia's hair, though short, framed her face beautifully, revealing her bright eyes dancing with excitement. Sarah felt a pang in her heart. The girl had an aura, a magnetic quality that drew people to her. "Mom!" Jake waved, motioning her over. His voice was full of life, so different from the tension at home. "Hey, look at what we created." Mia held up a costume design. This one adorned with vivid blues and sparkly touches. Sarah felt a flush of pride. It was artistic, unique, and definitively an expression of Mia's spirit. "That's incredible, Mia," Sarah managed to say, her voice steady, though butterflies danced in her stomach. She took a breath, summoning her resolve. "You're really talented," she added, forcing herself to meet Mia's eyes, the discomfort slowly melting away. There was something about acknowledging this girl it felt good. It was the first step toward accepting them both, exploring the unknowns of their world with an open heart. "Thanks. I just want to bring something fresh to the festival," Mia replied. "It's all about self-expression, right?" Jake nodded vigorously, his eyes shining with admiration for hers. Sarah felt the weight of the day shift, the sunlight casting a warm glow over everything. Maybe this festival was about more than appearances. Maybe it was about embracing the differences that bind them as a community. Yet, as the festivities continued, doubt lingered in Sarah's mind. She knew the disapproving whispers would come, especially from the town's older generations. They wouldn't understand. "What if they don't see the beauty you see?" she thought, fear creeping in once again. As the performances began, the community gathered in a large circle. The energy was contagious. Sarah caught moments of families laughing, children dancing, and neighbors embracing. She glanced at Jake and Mia, both deep in conversation, their laughter rising above the music. And there it was, the heart of her dilemma. But what she didn't expect was to hear a voice calling her name from behind, a voice she didn't recognize. The weight of her fears clung to her as she turned, uncertainty gnawing at the edges of her newfound hope. Who would it be? Would they chastise her for being supportive? Or could this be a moment to finally let go of lingering worries? The festival sparkled alive around her, pulling her into its undeniable joy, yet her heart pounded with apprehension. What revelation awaited her as she faced the unexpected visitor? Sarah turned slowly, her heart racing as the voice called her name again. It belonged to Mrs. Henderson, the town's retired schoolteacher, whose opinions often felt heavy like the humid summer air. The woman's silver hair shimmered under the festive lights, and a warm smile broke across her face. "Sarah, it's so good to see you," she exclaimed, her posture almost defying her age. "Mrs. Henderson." "Hi," Sarah replied, forcing a smile as she shuffled her feet nervously. "I was just admiring the creativity here," she said, gesturing toward a nearby booth adorned with colorful handmade jewelry. "And speaking of creativity, I hear there are some new faces in town?" A knot twisted in Sarah's stomach. She had hoped her fears about Mia's influence would remain unspoken, but reports spread faster than gossip in small towns. "Yes. Jake is really taking to it," Sarah replied, keeping her voice light, though she felt a need to protect her son. Mrs. Henderson's eyes sparkled with curiosity. "You know, I think it's wonderful how our youth express themselves these days. Reminds me of my own adventures back in the day." Her voice dropped a bit. "And Mia has such a unique style. I've seen her around, full of energy and life." Sarah's heart wavered between gratitude and anxiety. "She is colorful, that's for sure," she managed, her mind conflicted. Mia was vibrant and alive, but would that be enough for the town's expectations? Before she could respond further, a loud cheer erupted from the stage nearby, pulling both women's attention. They turned to see Jake and Mia running toward the center of the crowd, arms raised as they joined a group of kids preparing for an impromptu dance-off. There was something electric about how freely they moved, laughter spilling over like the soft twinkling lights strung above. Sarah's heart warmed, her worries momentarily fading as she watched Jake's face light up, flanked by Mia's beaming smile. "Look at them go," Mrs. Henderson said with genuine delight. "It's beautiful to witness, isn't it? They're happy, and that says so much." "Yes," Sarah whispered, Her heart caught in a gentle tug of war. It felt good to embrace this joy. Yet anxiety slithered back in, whispering old fears. What would happen when the celebrations ended and the scrutiny began? Just then Mrs. Henderson began to speak again. You know, Sarah, it's important to let them breathe, let them explore who they are. Her tone shifted slightly, as though she could sense Sarah's inner turmoil. But it's so different. I worry, Sarah confessed, her voice barely louder than a breath. Different can be beautiful, Mrs. Henderson replied softly. Sometimes it's the sparks of difference that ignite change in a town. Sometimes it shows us the beauty we didn't know we needed. Those words hung in the air like the music swirling around them. Just then a small group of children, laughter ringing clear, joined in the performance, weaving a festive energy that seemed to pulse with life. It was a reminder that sometimes the most vibrant colors emerged when people dared to be themselves. Maybe Sarah could dare too. Suddenly, she heard Jake calling again, his laughter brighter than the glow of the lanterns. Mom, come dance with us. The invitation was like a light breaking the surface of murky water. She looked at Mia, who was watching her with those sparkling eyes, encouraging yet vulnerable. Would this moment be where she found a new beginning? Or would her fears pull her back? With each heartbeat resonating with the rhythm of the festival, Sarah felt a surge of determination. Could she step forward not just as Jake's mother, but as a woman willing to embrace all the colors of life? She took a breath, stepping closer to the lively circle. But before she could join them, her heart stopped as a new voice rang out, deeper and demanding. Sarah, we need to talk. The weight of the world shifted once more, leaving her on the edge of uncertainty. Who was this new voice, and what awaited her in this moment? Sarah turned slowly to face the newcomer, her heart pounding like the festival drums. The man was tall and broad-shouldered, with a stern expression that made her stomach drop. It was Lucas, the town's mayor, someone who didn't just hold office but also commanded attention. The vibrant energy of the festival faded into the background as she braced herself for whatever he was about to say. Can this wait? She asked, trying to keep her voice steady. In that instant, the lively buzz of laughter from Jake and Mia seemed to dim, wrapping around her like a shroud of anxiety. Not really, Lucas replied, his voice firm yet somehow softer as he abandoned some of his abruptness. This is important. It involves your son. The mention of Jake felt like ice slipping down her spine. Is he okay? She blurted out, barely managing to catch her breath. Lucas nodded slowly, but didn't exactly offer comfort. There have been some incidents. I think we need to discuss, Mia, he said, looking over her shoulder as if to gauge the atmosphere. The sound of music and laughter felt worlds away now, suffocated by tension. Sarah's heart raced with dread. What could possibly have happened? What kind of incidents? She didn't want to sound defensive. She needed to know. It's not just about her influence on Jake, Lucas began, glancing toward the fray of giggling children. It's about some appropriated styles and attitudes that have been bringing a bit too much attention to the school lately. You know how conservative folks in this town can be. Are you saying Mia is to blame for this? The words escaped her before she could hold them back, each syllable laced with indignation. I'm saying it's causing ripples, he replied, keeping his tone even. Kids are impressionable, and what starts as fun can morph into something parents don't understand or approve of. Her eyes flicked back to where Jake was still dancing with Mia. The sight of them laughing helped her shake off some of the anger. But she's not a bad influence. They're having fun, they're kids. Isn't that what the festival is about? Fun is one thing, Lucas said, his voice dropping again, but this town needs stability. Look, I care about your son. I've seen how he's changed since Mia came into the picture, and I'm worried. If it escalates, Sarah's thoughts raced. Was Mia really a bad influence? Would the town truly turn against them? The very thought made her stomach churn. Was she crafting a narrative around Mia based on fear rather than reality? Sarah, Lucas continued softly, bringing her back to the moment. I'm here to help. But it requires honesty, not denial. Maybe there's a way to talk to Mia, set some boundaries. Just then Jake bounded over, breathless and wallowing in excitement. Mom, did you see my moves? He was radiant, full of youthful energy. It tore at Sarah's heart to see that brightness, knowing the conversation she was having. Of course I did. She tried to muster genuine enthusiasm, but it felt like plastic clinging to her emotions. Lucas looked between them, his gaze softer now. We can discuss this later, but just think about what I said. It's crucial. With a slight nod he stepped back, slipping through the crowd, leaving Sarah in the torrent of emotions swirling around her as she faced Jake. Confusion swirled within her. What did she want? Could she truly hold back the vibrant spark that Mia brought into her son's life? Jake started talking about dance moves, but all Sarah could think about were the ripples of change, how one influence could affect everything. Mom, come dance with us. Jake urged again, his laughter drawing her attention back. The warm glow of the lights beckoned her. Would she step into that circle of joy and freedom? Or would she stand back, letting fear dictate her choices? The music pulsed, the laughter swelled. And in her heart a question grew: could she truly accept Mia into their lives? Or would the weight of protection stifle their happiness? As she stood there, frozen between decision and doubt, another voice cut through the celebration, a voice unmistakably familiar yet laced with urgency. Sarah, I have to talk to you about Mia. It's really important. A wave of panic crashed over her. What now? Sarah turned sharply, her heart racing at the sound of that familiar voice slicing through the festive air. It was Janet, her neighbor and a well-meaning mother whose certainty often felt like a shackle. Janet's eyes were wide, panic flaring within them, and Sarah felt a knot tighten in her stomach. What is it, Janet? She asked, trying to keep her voice steady, but an edge crept in despite her efforts. She could see Jake dancing with Mia, spinning around like the carefree child he was, and the sight made her pulse quicken. It's about Mia's plans for her hair. Janet rushed out, each word spilling from her lips as if she couldn't contain them. I overheard her telling a couple of girls she's thinking about cutting it all off. You know how that can look around here. A sinking feeling settled in Sarah's chest. Wasn't this just another petty concern in a sea of worries? Hair could grow back. It was the confidence and joy Mia brought into Jake's life that truly mattered. And? Sarah replied, her voice hardening. If Mia wants to experiment with her look, that's her choice. It's just hair. You don't understand. It's not just about her hair. It's about the message it sends. Kids might think they can do whatever they want without consequences, Janet continued, her voice rising slightly. What consequences? Sarah's frustration flared. Do you think a haircut will turn them into rebels? They're children, Janet. They should be allowed to express themselves. Janet crossed her arms, her expression unyielding. Maybe, but sometimes they need guidance. Maybe you're too close to see how the town views these things. We're not in a big city. This isn't a place for that kind of rebellion. Sarah threw a bewildered glance over her shoulder at Jake, still lost in the music, his laughter like a breeze of hope in a turbulent air. But the laughter felt distant now, overshadowed by this worry, by Lucas' earlier words, by Janet's unyielding perspective. I've got to ask you, Sarah, Janet said, lowering her voice as if sharing a secret. What do you really think about Mia? Is she a good influence? The question hung heavy in the air, dragging Sarah into an abyss of doubt. Her heart squeezed. Was she being naive? She didn't want to see Mia as a threat, but now it seemed everyone was circling around her conclusions like vultures. The innocence of the festival seemed a cruel contrast against the heavy topics spiraling out of control. Look, I appreciate your concern, but Mia is good for Jake. She makes him happy. Isn't that what we're supposed to want for our kids? Her words trembled as a shadow passed over her heart, doubting if she truly believed them. Janet stepped closer, lowering her voice to a whisper. But at what cost, Sarah? You know how these things can spiral. It's important to protect our kids from things that seem harmless, but can lead to trouble. Can you really say Mia won't lead him down a path you want for him? Sarah felt a wave of vulnerability crash over her. Was she willing to stake her son's happiness on the opinions of the town? The world felt heavy with uncertainty, the distant sounds of music now heavy and suffocating. Maybe I need to talk to Mia, Sarah finally admitted, the words tasting bitter on her tongue. Find out what's really going on. Just tread carefully, Janet cautioned, squeezing Sarah's shoulder for emphasis. You couldn't forgive yourself if something went wrong. The gravity of those words struck hard. What was she really afraid of, and was that fear based on truth or mere perception? As Sarah watched Jake sway joyfully, losing himself in the moment, a clarity began to seep through the fog of doubt. True guidance might not mean control or confinement. Instead, it could be about understanding. The music twisted anew, and she breathed deeply, her heart pulsing with a renewed sense of purpose. The next step would not come easy, and yet, she knew she would have to face Mia even if the outcome frightened her. In that moment, she resolved to find Mia amidst the swirling colors of the festival. It was time to uncover the truth behind this beautiful fire that Jake had stumbled into. What would Mia reveal, and how deep did her influence truly run? As Sarah stepped forward, the horizon shimmered with possibility and apprehension. What would this conversation divulge? The crowd swirled around Sarah, laughter and chatter echoing off the festival tents. Each passing moment felt like a heartbeat, reminding her of the urgency of her task. She pushed past the tables filled with baked goods and crafts, her eyes scanning for the familiar dark curls of Mia. Her stomach fluttered. This was more than a conversation about hair. It was about trust, understanding, and the labyrinth of childhood friendships that all too often tangled in confusion. Sarah paused by a booth where kids danced adorned in colorful costumes, the vibrant yellows and blues swirling like paint on a canvas. It was beautiful, but it felt foreign. In that moment, the exuberance of the festival dimmed, and the weight of Janet's words pressed down. What if she was right? What if Mia truly was a bad influence? "Mom!" Jake's voice cut through her thoughts, bright and cheerful. He ran over, a playful grin stretched across his face. "Can we get cotton candy? Please." Sarah knelt down to meet his gaze, the weight of her concern flickering against the brightness in his eyes. "Maybe later, buddy. I need to talk to Mia first, okay?" "Yeah, sure. But can I have pink?" He bounced on his toes, the rhythm of his joy infectious despite the nagging shadows in Sarah's heart. She forced a smile, her mind still racing. "Of course. Just hold on for a sec." "Okay." With that, he bounded back to his friends, worry and innocence intertwining beautifully. Sarah continued her search, weaving through the vibrant festival goers until she spotted Mia. She stood under a large oak tree, golden sunlight filtering through the leaves and illuminating her like she was the center of the world. Her laughter floated in the air, full of life, and for a moment, Sarah hesitated. Did she really want to disrupt this? But there was also a deeper pull urging her forward. She approached Mia, swallowing hard as she closed the distance. "Hey, Mia." The girl turned, her blue eyes sparkling with delight. "Hi, Mrs. Reynolds. Jake is so funny today." "Yes, he is." Sarah took a breath, noticing how easily Mia lit up the moments around her. "Can we talk for a minute?" "Sure." Mia glanced at her friends, a hint of concern brushing her face. "Is everything okay?" The question hung in the air, heavy and fraught, as the chatter of the festival faded into white noise around them. Sarah felt her heart pound at the thought of unearthing truths. "I wanted to hear what you're planning with your hair." Mia's expression shifted slightly, surprise knitting her brow. "Oh well, I'm thinking about cutting it." "It's just hair, right? But what about everyone else? Do you think they'll understand? What do you want?" Mia's laughter trailed off, and for a second, Sarah saw behind the girl's carefree exterior. "I don't know. I just thought it would be fun to try something new. I'm tired of my long hair." Sarah's heart quaked as she studied Mia closely. This was not about hair. It was about finding a voice in a loud world. And if it means something different to others? Mia's face brightened, confidence swelling as she spoke. "Why does it matter what they think? I want to feel good about who I am." But sometimes that can lead to misunderstandings. Sarah stumbled over her words. Was she really contesting what Mia felt? The girl stepped closer, determination in her voice. "Mrs. Reynolds, I want Jake to know who I really am. I'm not trying to influence him. I just want to be me." Sarah's heart ached. Here was Mia, clear in her convictions, a bright flame amidst the flickering doubts that engulfed Sarah. But what if it upsets others? And what if it doesn't? What if it brings him happiness? Mia countered, her gaze steady. Sarah felt a pang of realization. Could she really hold Mia accountable for a small choice when the bigger picture held so much more? "Your happiness matters too, Mia," she whispered. "I just don't want any harm to come to anyone." Mia shrugged, a small smile breaking through. "I understand. But sometimes taking risks is all part of growing up. Don't you think?" The weight of those words sat heavily. Sarah wished she could spiral into the carefree spirit before her. What was she truly protecting? And just as she began to feel the turn of acceptance, The shrill sound of a whistle pierced through the whispers of the festival. A group of mothers, Janet at the forefront, emerged from the crowd, glancing between Mia and Sarah with narrowed eyes. "Sarah, there you are," Janet called, her voice laced with urgency. The air crackled with tension, and Sarah's heart raced. How would they interpret this moment? "Everything okay?" Janet asked, her gaze shifting from Mia back to Sarah. Mia looked up, unreadable, and the world around them felt like it was on the verge of collapse. What if this moment decided their paths? With the crowd closing in, Sarah knew this conversation was far from over. What truths lay beneath a simple haircut? And would she find the courage to embrace them? Janet stepped closer, her expression a mix of curiosity and judgment. The surrounding crowd buzzed with whispers as mothers exchanged glances, each silently weighing the unspoken stakes of this interaction. Sarah felt a pinprick of panic. She needed to protect Mia but was unsure how to navigate the tension building around them. "Is everything all right?" Janet's voice sliced through the ambient noise as she looked back and forth between Sarah and Mia. Sarah straightened, gathering her thoughts into a fragile shield. "We're just talking about hair." It sounded weak even to her ears, a flimsy excuse that only deepened Janet's scrutiny. "Hair, huh?" Janet's brow raised in disbelief. "With everything I've heard, I would think you'd have a more serious conversation in mind." With a nod towards Mia, her tone dripped with skepticism, especially considering what kids are saying about her lately. Mia's lips pressed into a tight line, and Sarah felt the sting of those words like a slap across the face. The girl who just moments ago radiated confidence was now dimming under the pressure of Janet's pointed gaze. "It's not what you think," Mia said quietly, stepping back as though trying to put space between them and the scrutiny. "Is that so?" Janet challenged, crossing her arms, inviting a defense short on courage but heavy with emotion. "You know how rumors spread, right? Kids don't always know what they want. They just follow each other. That's why it's important to be careful about changes, especially the big ones." "But what if it's not a bad change?" Sarah interjected, heart hammering against her ribs. Mia's trying to express herself. "That matters. And what about Jake?" Janet shot back, the corners of her mouth twisting downward. "He's still a child. She might be leading him into something risky." The weight of silence hung between them, flickers of hurt dancing in Mia's eyes. Sarah felt the urge to clasp Mia's shoulder, to ground her, but she didn't want to make it worse. She felt trapped in a labyrinth of words. "Mia has a right to make her own choices," Sarah said finally, her voice steady despite its quaking foundation. "What happened to teaching our kids to be themselves, Janet? Isn't that what you preach at every PTA meeting?" The mothers around them exchanged glances, murmurs rippling through the crowd like a shockwave. For a second, the bustling festival faded into an abstract blur, leaving only Sarah, Mia, and Janet standing at the center of an unspoken storm. Janet was momentarily thrown off balance, her carefully constructed facade slipping. "I just don't want Jake to be swayed by someone who isn't thinking clearly." But then it happened, a flicker of defiance lit in Mia's eyes. "I've thought about this a lot, Ms. Janet," she said, her voice stronger, fierce. "I'm figuring out who I am. And Jake deserves to know that side of me." The tension coiled tighter, and Sarah could sense the swirling emotions wrestle in the air around them, the fear of change, the hope for growth, and the aching desire for acceptance. In that moment something shifted in the atmosphere, a collective inhale among those watching, holding their breath as if waiting for an explosion or a revelation. "And what if you're wrong?" Janet asked, softer now but still wary. Mia took a step forward. "Then I'll deal with it. But I won't surrender who I am because it makes someone else uncomfortable." Fingers tugged at Sarah's heartstrings, twisting them with both fear and pride. How could the innocence of childhood hold such poignant clarity? Before Sarah could respond, the festival's music spiked, thrumming through the ground as if trying to shatter the heaviness in the air. A voice broke through the tension, announcing a contest for best costume nearby, pulling in stage-hungry kids and parents alike. The moment diffused, faces turned, and for a breath the pressure lifted. But the doubt still lingered. "Sarah," Janet started again, but Mia stepped back, ready to retreat from the discourse and judgment. "No, I'm not here to offend anyone. I see you all. I see what you believe." But her eyes met Sarah's, a plea for understanding held within. "I just want to be me." Mia's words hung heavily in the air as Sarah felt the bond between them shift. In a world of expectations, Mia wanted to be the artist of her own life. "Let us all cool down, shall we?" Janet suggested, the moment shimmering on the precipice of chaos. Yet Sarah sensed this wasn't over. The quest for self-expression seemed destined to ignite new questions, new paths, even if that meant navigating uncharted waters together. As the spectacular colors of the festival spun around them, a sense of resolve washed over Sarah. "Maybe we can all find a way to coexist," Sarah offered, pushing forward with cautious hope. But wasn't the real journey just beginning? What would it take for both mothers and children to shape a future where choices sparkled like the sun-drenched festival, unfiltered and freely expressed? The crowd began to disperse as laughter and cheers drew attention to the costume contest. Children, bright-eyed and overflowing with energy, erupted into the stage area, costume capes fluttering like colorful flags in the wind. Sarah watched how quickly the tension shifted from heated exchanges to pure delight. But it felt like a fragile calm. The moment was as thin as the gauzy fabric of a child's fairy wings. Mia stood a bit apart from the chaos, her confidence flickering like the festival lights that twinkled above them. Sarah could see her yearning for acceptance and serenity in this sea of uncertainty. It hurt to witness the disconnect between Mia's inner vibrancy and how the outside world often scrutinized her. Suddenly, a burst of laughter echoed through the atmosphere. A little boy dressed as a dinosaur, complete with a tail swinging wildly, made an unexpected leap through the crowd. Everyone around him roared with laughter, their spirits lifting momentarily. But Sarah sensed there was a deeper current flowing beneath the surface, a ripple that hadn't fully settled. "Come on, Mia. It's just hair. And it's just us here, right?" she said, trying to lift Mia's spirits, desperate to merge the romantic fairy tale of childhood with the disillusioning reality of adult expectations. "Look at all this," she gestured to the festival. "Look at how everyone's just being themselves." Mia gave a half-hearted smile, though Sarah could see the shadow of apprehension still etched across her features. "But what if nobody likes this version of me?" Mia whispered, her eyes downcast. The words left her mouth like a soft confession, an admission of fear no longer shielded from her mother's ears. "Some people may not understand," Sarah said, kneeling to Mia's level, "but what truly matters is how you feel about yourself. You are beautiful fully you, with or without the hair changes." In that moment, Sarah remembered her own youthful experiences, those turbulent years awash with uncertainty, and the pressure to fit in, to be something one wasn't. How many times had she faded into the background rather than shine in her own radiant colors? She wanted better for Mia. Mia finally lifted her gaze, and Sarah could see a flicker of her old spark return as curiosity replaced some of the doubt. "You really think so?" "Yes, I do," she affirmed, wrapping her arms around her daughter in a gentle embrace. "Look around us. This entire festival is, in a way, celebrating differences. What's so amazing about the summer fairs is that each one of these decorations represents someone's unique story. Just like you." As the words sank in, Mia stretched a shy smile, a soft beam that radiated through the lingering heaviness. Outside the circle they formed, Janet shifted uncomfortably, casting swift looks between them and the glimmering stage filled with joyful antics, a stark contrast to the earlier discussion. "Maybe I just need time to find that version of me," Mia said, her voice now tinged with hope. Yet, another layer of fear surfaced in the back of Sarah's mind. Could they fully embrace this journey amid the unresolved conflicts? Would the festival's laughter eventually drown out the judgment? Sarah said softly, "It will take time. And that's okay. Just keep being true to yourself. And remember, however difficult it gets, you have me in your corner. We can face it all together." Feeling more grounded, Mia beamed, but a new urgency pressed in as they both turned back to the crowd. The next category in the contest was about to begin, and a sudden shout caught their attention. "Who will win the Best Friend Tag Team Costume Award?" The announcer's voice echoed loud and bright. The surging audience drew nearer, and Sarah felt an elation with Mia's hand clasped firmly in hers. But just as they stepped forward, Sarah noticed Janet retreating, gathering her own band of mothers, whispering conspiratorially. The knot in Sarah's stomach tightened again. "Something's brewing," she muttered, her heart quickening. "What do you mean?" Mia asked, glancing after Janet, her brow furrowed. "Means," Sarah hesitated, sensing the burden of the atmosphere, That we might not be done with them just yet. We have a way to go before we settle here. Mia nodded, an understanding flowing between them like an invisible bridge. It was a promise of solidarity, resilience, the strength they would need as challenges loomed ahead. The festival continued to buzz around them, full of color and life. Yet even amidst the laughter, Sarah felt the tide turning. A storm was brewing, and she wondered just how far they would have to journey before reaching the calm. What would happen if the crowd of mothers gathered, bearing discomfort and fear? Would they accept change, or would they fight against the new? The announcer's voice crackled through the microphone, cutting through the laughter like a knife. Sarah tightened her grip on Mia's hand as the crowd's energy pulsed with excitement. Get ready for the Best Friend Tag Team Costume Award. He would see the smiles, but all Sarah could see were the sideways glances and the murmurs from Janet's group of mothers. Come on, let us head closer to the stage, she encouraged Mia, trying to shift their focus. They meandered through the crowd, darting past clusters of parents sipping lemonade and kids bouncing in oversized dinosaur outfits. Each step felt heavier with the weight of uncertainty. Just as they wedged themselves into a good spot, laughter erupted again when a child dressed as a pirate stumbled dramatically onto the stage, tripping over her own wooden sword. The audience roared, and Sarah couldn't help but chuckle. It was moments like these that reminded her of the joy that existed amid chaos. But she also felt a turn in the air, a heaviness that sank deeper into the pit of her stomach. Mia, drawn in by the spectacle, stopped and clapped enthusiastically. Her smile brightened the shadowed corners of Sarah's worry. Look, Mom. The pirate. Yes, she's great. Sarah called back, but her eyes darted again to the mothers, their whispers now too pointed to ignore. Every glance exchanged felt like a tightening coil, ready to snap. Then, without warning, Janet stepped forward, her voice slicing through the laughter. Let us discuss the results from the costume contest after this, she announced to her group, loud enough for others to overhear. We can't let just anyone win, right? Her words dripped with sarcasm, and the multiple nods from her friends felt like a strain of a familiar tune that Sarah had heard too often. There it was, an unsettling undercurrent. What are they talking about? Mia asked, confusion flickering across her face. Sarah hesitated, searching for a response that wouldn't taint the joy of the moment. They just want the Best Friend Tag Team Costume Award to be fair, she said, her voice a touch lighter than she felt. That's all. As the contest continued, Sarah's heart raced. With every giggle from Mia, mingled with the chorus of cheers, she pondered the hesitation stifling the festival's brightness. Would the tight-knit circle accept Mia's new self? Would they reject her bright colors in favor of a faded tale of what should be? When the announcer finally called for the winners, the crowd erupted. And the Best Friend Tag Team Award goes to the superheroes. Cheers burst from the crowd, and a small group of kids clad in mismatched capes beamed with pride as they took the stage. But as the applause rang out, Sarah's attention drifted back to Janet and her allies, whose smirks seemed to whisper of dissent. Mia, Janet called out amid the chaos, her voice sharp. Why don't you come over here? We'd love to get your thoughts on the contest. The invitation felt pointed, and a chill ran through Sarah. Mia's eyes widened, caught between excitement and apprehension. Should I, Mom? The question hung heavy in the air, and Sarah's heart sank. Sweetie, you do what feels right, she said slowly, weighing every word. Mia hesitated, the budding sense of confidence dwindling. Faced with the familiar faces she longed to impress but equally feared, she looked back to the stage, where the winners giggled and hugged one another. Let us hang here a bit longer, she finally whispered, though doubt seeped into her tone. Sarah's heart soared. Absolutely, she affirmed, relief flooding through her as she wrapped her arm around her daughter. But just as Mia seemed to find herself, a sudden silence fell over the crowd, punctuated by a sharp exclamation from Janet. I can't believe you would even let her wear that rainbow wig. What kind of impression is that supposed to make? Gasps erupted around them, as parents glanced over with mingled curiosity and judgment. Mia, Sarah murmured, feeling the weight of all eyes on them. Stay close to me. The moment hung electric. Mia stood rooted in place, her expression shifting from surprise to defiance. The festival, with all its color and laughter, suddenly felt like a razor's edge. Would they sink under the pressure, or would they rise above it? Sarah's heart pounded as she met Mia's gaze. Did they have what it would take to confront the looming storm? Before she could respond, a child beyond Janet shouted, "Don't listen to her. Your hair is awesome." The crowd buzzed with mixed reactions, fueling the tension. "Mia, what do you want to do?" Her daughter opened her mouth to reply, but words failed her. In that fragile moment they both felt the weight of a decision. The pivot toward acceptance or the risk of judgment loomed. Would they stand tall together, or retreat in silence? And just then, the festival lights seemed to flicker, igniting a decision more monumental than either could anticipate. Sarah's heart raced, a storm of emotions swirling as she faced the fevered whispers and piercing gazes around them. The weight of Janet's words hung heavy, threatening to suffocate any glimmer of joy the festival had brought. And yet, she felt the fire in Mia's eyes, a fierce, resolute spark that conveyed she was ready to confront the world. "Mom," Mia finally whispered, tightening her grip on Sarah's arm. "What do we do?" Before Sarah could respond, a rush of energy surged through the crowd. The same little boy dressed as a dinosaur charged forward again, oblivious to the tension. His innocent laughter sliced through the oppressive atmosphere, and for a brief moment, it reminded Sarah of the unfiltered joy of childhood. Mia drew a deep breath, looking out at the crowd. "Maybe it's time for me to be brave," she said softly but resolutely, her voice rising as she took a step away from Sarah. Each word seemed fueled by the laughter surrounding them, echoing the pulse of the festival. "Just be yourself," another child shouted from the crowd, arms open wide, the kind of encouragement that resonated with unconditional acceptance. It was as if the universe conspired to give Mia the courage she needed. "Exactly." Mia nodded, her voice gaining strength. "I just want to express who I am." Sarah could feel a swell of pride rising within her. There was a spark of bravery igniting in Mia, something that Sarah had feared might be extinguished. Janet's smug expression flickered, doubt creeping in as the audience cheered for Mia's boldness. "Listen," Sarah called out, her voice carrying above the din. "Every person here is unique. Every child has their own story to share. Isn't that what we're celebrating today?" The crowd quieted, curiosity twisting their expressions. For a moment, all eyes were on her, turning the festival's vibrant chaos into an intimate circle of anticipation. "Mia," she continued, warmth filling her tone, "you are beautiful exactly as you are. Your hair, your art, they're reflections of you." Mia beamed, encouraged by her mother's words. It was no longer just about hair. It was about connection, the undeniable bond of family and friendship that transcended the worries of small-town judgment. The onlookers began to soften. Murmurs of agreement surged through the crowd. "Yes, Mia," someone shouted. "You're amazing." Mia turned to Janet, who stood momentarily dumbfounded. "I'm not trying to rebel. I just want to be my true self, Janet. I thought that was what growing up was about." Janet shifted uncomfortably, the tension in her posture easing just slightly as she glanced from Mia to Sarah. The courage they displayed made her falter, her unwavering conviction trembling in the face of their solidarity. "Look," Mia pressed, her voice growing louder with determination, "we can dress however we want, but it's about what we feel inside that truly matters." Jake, emerging from the crowd, caught Mia's energy like a wave. He dashed up beside her, looking from her to their mother with pride. "Mom, you're right. It's about being different. That's what makes this whole festival fun." His enthusiasm unveiled a fresh layer of support and solidarity. As if on cue, the laughter and cheers of the festival swelled around them again. Children danced about on stage, spinning in costumes, completely celebrating their individuality. Sarah glanced around and saw others standing up, joining Mia, creating a ripple effect of acceptance in the crowd. "Let us celebrate each other's differences. It's what makes this community special," someone shouted, and the crowd erupted into applause and cheers. Sarah smiled, overwhelmed with gratitude and realization. This was what being part of a community truly meant, not just surviving judgment but thriving in authenticity. "Mia," she whispered with tears glistening in her eyes, "you've shown me how to embrace the chaos. You've sparked a change in more than just your hair." Finally, as the stage lights danced above them and children reveled in their eccentric costumes, the tension lifted. Janet stood still, her face a mosaic of contemplation, signaling that maybe there was a path forward, a chance to create harmony. In that moment, Sarah squeezed Mia's hand tightly. They had chosen courage together, and it felt electric. a celebration of love, acceptance, and the vibrant tapestry of lives braided into the heart of Maplewood. "Well," Sarah said, her voice steady, "how about we carve our own path at this festival?" Mia grinned, her chin held high. "Let us show them who we are." As they joined the crowd, laughter bursting from their lips, Sarah felt lighter than she had in years. Together they twirled into the heart of the festival like colors on a painted canvas, completely free, unfiltered, and real. And in that fleeting moment, they were transformed, vibrant souls against the backdrop of Maplewood, no longer shadowed by fear, but empowered by understanding. Change had not only reached them, it had found a home within their hearts. Don't wait another second. Subscribe immediately to the channel to not miss the next exclusive stories that inspire. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm and make a difference. Comment your reactions and feelings about this powerful ending. We'd love to hear from you. And share instantly this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this beautiful transformation. You need to share this. Remember, only true fans understand the importance of supporting the channel with these actions.